Welcome or welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Brandy and I'm back with another book review. This book review is on this book called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I did read this one as an ebook. I borrowed it from the library from the Libby app, and I literally just finished this book. So if you're new to my channel, this is and will be my second book review, and the way I do my book reviews is the first part of the video I do my intro and I give you guys the information about the book, so what the book was about, the author, my rating, and then the second half of the book review I do give spoilers. However, I do not spill straight into the spoilers. I do give you a fair warning so that you can pause the video and go read the book if you hadn't read it already. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first, what made me read this book? Like, what made me pick up the title, I'm Glad My Mother Died, right? Like, what are you doing reading that book? So first, let's just say this. I've been seeing this title all over the bookshelves, all over social media for months. Like, for months, probably since this book dropped. I know it has not been out long, so I know for sure I've been seeing it all over the place. So the first thing I thought in my head was, what? I'm glad my mom died? Nah, I'm not gonna read nothing like that, right? So then I was on Instagram and I was just talking book talk with some Instagram followers or whatever. And one of the young ladies asked me, have I read the book? Because we were discussing book recommendations. And I was like, no, I hadn't. And so immediately I looked up the book and I'm like, why do I keep running into this book? Like, why do I keep on running into this book? It must be something I should read. So I looked it up. That's when I realized this is the girl from iCarly that was on Nickelodeon. And then she had her own spin-off show called, I think, Sam and Cat. I didn't watch that one, but I was familiar with who the heck she was. So I'm like, okay, now I want to know why she happy her mom died. So I was like, okay, do I want to buy the book? How do I want to read this book? So when I went and did my Barnes & Noble shopping with my Christmas gift card, I ran into the book again. But then when I was looking at the title, I'm like, I don't think that's something I would really want on my bookshelf. Like, the title is kind of harsh. It's really harsh, and I'm just thinking when people browse my bookshelf, they're looking at my library and they're like, girl, why you got this book? So then it was that point when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read it, but I think I'm just gonna see if my local library have it and read it that way. So you guys know I have my notebook. I always jot notes down while I read, and this is best for me because when it's time for me to do book reviews, I can give you exactly how I felt while I was reading. So I did jot down some bullet points just to discuss with you guys. So the first one that I jot down for myself is, what did I like about the book? So I like how she built the courage to truly put into written format how she felt. Like, it's not a lot of times you hear people be happy that their parents died, family member died, friends died. You don't hear people legit say, I'm happy they died. So when you see that title, it triggers you to think something happened, right? She can't really deep down feel that way if something didn't really happen. And so I just really like the fact that she built the courage to give us her story and to allow us to enter that part of her life and explain why she was happy about that, like why she was glad her mom did die. So what I didn't like about the book is that it did start off slow. Now granted, this is a memoir, so it's not like there's a plot, there's a storyline. You're literally reading someone give you their life story, but it did kind of start off pretty slow for me. And when I first started off, I'm like, okay, this is kind of dragging, so I'm glad I didn't buy it. So let's just see, you know, how it's gonna continue to go. And with that, I felt like the way her story started, it started off when she was very young. So when she was very young, nothing really super important happened. So it kind of made the beginning of the story a drag. So I really didn't like that. And then I do know when I had mentioned it to like some book groups that I'm part of on Facebook, a lot of people were recommending that I did listen to it via audiobook. However, I'm taking a break from audiobooks. So I'm like, nah, y'all, I gotta read this. Like, I gotta read the physical format of the book. So I decided to just read it as the ebook. But I really feel like if I listened to it as an audiobook, then it probably wouldn't have started off so slow for me. And the book is basically about how her mother forced her into being an actress, and she really just didn't want to be an actress. It was a wish and a goal for her mother to be an actress when she was a little girl, and her mom didn't allow her to become an actress or do any acting growing up, so she forced her daughter to do so. And so Lynette tells her story about how from when she was a very small little girl, how her mom basically pushed her to becoming an actress and just doing tons of things centered around stardom that she really just didn't feel comfortable with doing. With that, her mom also was a breast cancer survivor, and then she ended up getting stage 4 breast cancer, and she used her sickly situation to get her through a lot of things with strangers, with producers, and even with Jennette. Jennette does give a very detailed story about her upbringing from a child into being an actress. She goes into a lot of detail and explain how she had to go on auditions and on casting calls, and her mom really just forced her to do all of the acting things that she just really didn't want to do, and how later on it really impacted her mentally. So ultimately, I would give this book a 4-star out of 5. And I'm only saying this because of how slow the book took to really get into the nitty gritty. I feel like some of the stuff at the beginning, it could have been cut out because it really wasn't important. And that's just me being a reader, saying that because she wrote her own book. This is her own life. So anything that she's writing in this story and giving to the public will be important. But I just feel like some of the stuff at the beginning she probably could have left out, because it wasn't like the very beginning kind of led into the story that she was trying to tell. It was kind of unnecessary. I would not purchase this book, and I only would not purchase this book because of the title. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the title is pretty harsh. And it's definitely not something I would want to sit on my book cart or in my library. If so, it would have to definitely be tucked away. It's not something that I would want to own. So that's why I took the route in reading it in the library and borrowing it from the Libby app and just reading it on my Kindle. However, I do highly recommend that whoever does decide to read this book, try it as an audio. Like, if you're into audiobooks, I highly recommend that you try it as an audio, because it does start out very, very slow. And with an audiobook, you can speed it up. You can speed the book up to whichever speed you want her to read the book to you. And so I feel like that part will kind of go as quick as you would like it to be. I'm not a fast reader. I think I'm pretty I read pretty steady, like at a pretty steady space, a pretty steady pace. So with that being said, I do highly recommend that you do read the book. However, I would say get the audiobook if you do decide to read it. So now we get to the part of the video when I'm telling you guys my random thoughts, and a lot of my random thoughts do have spoilers. So that's why I like to pause the video midway and be like, hey sis, if you read this book, start right here, because the rest of this video is for the people that have. So I like to jot my random thoughts in this notebook, and I also did it from my phone and it transferred over to my iPad. So you guys are gonna see these two out quite often, because this is where my stuff is at. Some of this stuff is not gonna be in order, so I'm gonna just throw it out there and we're just gonna talk about it. So my first thought that I wrote down is, why is she showering with this little girl? Why is she still bathing this little girl well until she turns 14? Like, she's a teenager. And when I think about it, I'm like, I know for a fact my child was able to bathe herself at the age of 5. So you want to monitor your child and make sure she's eating and doing everything that you need for her to do to remain an actress. So much so that you need to shower her and wash her hair. And she was doing random chest exams and vagina exams. Like, are you crazy, lady? Yeah, you are. I don't even know why I asked that. She's very much crazy. And then limiting her calorie intake, changing her diet, because that's when Jennette had expressed that her boobs was coming in and she didn't want no boobs. And girl, like, I get it, you don't want no boobs, but you can't stop boobs from coming in. So for her mom to be like, hey, if you change the way you eat, it can stop your boobs from growing. That was a lie. But that was the lie she told her because she wanted her to keep her weight under 100 pounds. Because she also lied and was like, if you keep your weight under 100 pounds, you will still get booked for kid roles and it'd be good for your career and blah, blah, blah. F this career, because I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. So you just sit up there and you trick this little girl that being under 100 pounds is healthy, and it's not. It's not. Limiting anyone's calorie intake when they are not overweight is sick. It's just sick. Then another thing, she was so small that she was still sitting in a booster seat at 14 years old. And like, if you are a parent, you know that booster seats and car seats have a weight limit and not an age limit. So your child can very well be 14 years old, but hadn't met, it's not normal for them to not meet their weight requirement for the booster seat restriction. Why is y'all still pulling up recording iCarly and Sam and Cat, and she in a wheelchair? I mean, not a wheelchair, she in a booster seat. I'm like, where the people at? Like, the people who do the valet parking, y'all wasn't noticing this? Y'all wasn't saying nothing? They probably wasn't. They probably didn't even care. Just run me my tip. I'm finna park your car, and that's that on that. Like, I was just like, there is no way this little girl is still sitting in a booster seat, and she's 14. You finna enter high school, and you still sitting in a booster seat? Insane. Something that really touched me is when her grandpa was basically telling her, you shouldn't have the weight of the whole family on your shoulders. You should not be taking care of the family financially. You should be enjoying being a child. And you know, that's something I tell my daughter all the time. My daughter is 12, and I tell her, you guys are not children for long. You're literally children until you're 18. And really before that, because once you get to high school, you really ain't being a kid no more. You're still a minor, but you're not really a child anymore. So it's so important to allow your children to be children and allow them to grow and just do the things that they should be doing at their young age, because they won't be there long. You're an adult. You are an adult way longer than you are a child, and baby, it ain't nothing to really look forward to. When her grandfather told her that, I was happy about that, because someone actually cared. Someone in this story that she was giving us actually cared for Jennette, and she needed that. And so of course we know that her mom had breast cancer, and she survived it the first time, but then she ended up having breast cancer come back, and then she had stage 4 breast cancer, which is really, really bad, and she was going through chemo and all of that. But I think during that phase, she was trying to make Jennette feel sorry for her, and she was trying to post the blame on Jennette for her cancer coming back to kind of make her feel sorry when Jennette wouldn't do things that her mom really wanted her to do. And you guys, I hated that. I really hated that. And when she was telling her that, she was like, you're the reason why my cancer came back. Like, girl, what? She said, you caused my cancer to come back. I hope you're happy knowing this. You have to live with this fact. You gave me cancer. That little girl did not give you cancer. She did not give you cancer, ma'am. You just want to be in control of her life, and you want her to do the things that you want her to do, and you don't ever want her to find out that she can make her own decisions. So instead, you trick her into believing that you really care about her, you really love her, and you have her best interest in her, when really you don't. All you care about is the money that she's making for you and this family. A lot of her childhood, I really didn't have any random thoughts about, like, because like I said at the beginning of the video, it was pretty drawn out for me. A lot of that stuff she could have kept. The whole wishing that her mom would live another year every year for her birthday, that was sweet, but you know, of course she was working long hours and long days. She still had to go to school. Her mom was homeschooling her. Her mom was a severe hoarder. Like, she hoarded everything in a house to the point that they couldn't even enjoy their own beds and their own bedrooms. They slept on like cots in the living room and stuff like that, because her mom was like crazy, literally saving everything. If something broke, she was putting it in a Ziploc bag and saving it. Pictures she was just saving. The garage, you couldn't even get in the garage because the garage was just full of junk. And that's just no good way to live, and you cannot enjoy a childhood like that. They had moments where they would watch TV together and stuff like that, but then they also had moments where her mom tried to make the whole family feel bad because she couldn't be a superstar actress, and it was just sad. The mom treated the dad wrong, and treated the grandparents wrong, and just talked to them any kind of way. It was just really bad. For the life of me, I couldn't understand why she would have to force her dad to do things. Like, did you get her a birthday card or take her to your company's Christmas party and stuff like that, only to find out later on that that wasn't even her biological dad. So that was kind of creepy as well. Like, you're forcing this man to be a father to this child, and yeah, he was doing it because he was your husband, but you was really making him do that? Like, that's insane. And I really wish we got to know, and I know this is personal business, this is not a freaking story, this is somebody's real life, but I really wish we got the opportunity to know why her mom didn't let her know about her biological dad before she passed away. I just feel like she should have known her dad. A lot of my random thoughts come from when she's getting older. So like, when she finally is able to move out of her mom's house and she thinking she's about to get her own apartment, but then here come mom. Like, ma'am, the reason why I'm moving out is because I'm trying to get away from you. And here you come. And then not only here you come, but you sleeping in the bed with me. That's crazy, okay? Her mama should have been admitted, because that's insane. Like, something was really wrong with her mom, first of all. Something was really wrong with her mom, and I really wish they had kind of got her assessed or figured something out about that, because she really, she couldn't tell nobody this. She wouldn't tell nobody that the way her mom made her feel, she didn't like it. She was making up a lie like she really loved this. So it was kind of hard, but she was starting to grow up and see things for what it was, and she was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And so her mom trying to be there, and lady, you in a wheelchair now. Stay at the house. Stay at your little junky house. This place is for me. Like, I really, really hated that. And then, you know, she started dating Joe. When Jennette started dating Joe, and she used Joe as her getaway, like, we finna go on vacation. And so, you know, they went on vacation, and then the whole time she's on vacation, her mom knows she lying about who she on vacation with, but Jennette's still trying to cover mom's feelings and lie to her like she's on vacation with her best friend, got her best friend getting into the calls on the three-ways, lying and lying and lying. Like, that's crazy. But then she get caught. Like, you a superstar, baby. You cannot lie about where you at, because paparazzi is everywhere. Paparazzi spot her out there with Joe, take them pictures and post on the TMZ. Mom write this nasty letter talking about, yeah, I seen you on the TMZ and I'm mad about it. And then when Jennette finally seen the pictures on TMZ, she started feeling bad for herself, talking about, oh, I look disgusting in that bathing suit. And I'm gonna post a picture right here, because that girl looked darn good. She looks really good. But when you have a mom that is teaching you to have an eating disorder, like, you start to feel bad for yourself. But she literally said, like, I had on a 2-piece bathing suit, and I had started getting so fat that I started wearing boarding shorts over my bikini bottoms because I wasn't comfortable. And she looked good. She looked good on this picture. Then her mom wrote that little stupid letter talking about, I'm so disappointed in you. You used to be my perfect little angel. Called her a slut of floozy and all of that. She also saw the pictures on the website called TMZ because you know she old, so she don't know nothing about nothing. Y'all hear some background. That's my baby boy getting up from his nap. She was calling her a liar and all this and all that. It was just kind of crazy. But then at the end of this letter, you going to say, P.S. our refrigerator broke. Can you send me some money? After you didn't cuss me out and you gonna ask me for some money? Girl, forget you in that refrigerator, okay? Forget you in that refrigerator. So then she started really feeling bad because she felt like she let her mom down. Because, you know, her mom had her tricked into believing that her mom was her best friend and she always had to make her happy. And she really was tricked into that. And so, you know, she reached out to mom. She's like, I'm really, really sorry. Can we sit down and talk about this so you can understand from my point of view, blah, blah. Her mom like, yeah, well, I guess we can sit down. But P.S., can you please send me some money for the refrigerator because our yogurt's sour? Like, her mom didn't care about Jennette. Jennette's mom did not care about her well-being. She only cared about herself. And that's scary. That's scary to put your kids in. Such a situation like that is very scary. Something I really did like about Jennette and the way she told her story is she's a realist. Like, she see things for what it is. The older she got and the more she was realizing stuff, she just sees stuff for what it is. These people I'm working for are trash. The way they be trying to get me to do stuff is trash. The way people be thinking is trash. The way people be talking is trash. You know, people is just trash. And, you know, the older she got, she started to realize that. And she started to even realize that about her mom. But she was so deep into making her mom happy about everything to the point where she was afraid to make her mom sad. And her mom had that control, that mind control over her. And it was scary. The thing I like about her and what she said about people is that she does not like to, she put, I don't like knowing people in the context of things. Oh, that's the person I work out with. That's the person I'm in a book club with. That's the person I did a show with. And she was like, because once the contact ends, so does the friendship. And like, that made me think, like, how many times do you have a work BFF and then either you or your work BFF start working for the company and then y'all don't talk no more? Like, that's very common. And the only connection y'all had was the fact that y'all worked together, and that's the only reason why y'all were friends. And she was like, I yearn to know people I love deeply and intimately without context. Like, I don't want you to be attached to the book club. I don't want you to be my friend because we go to church together or because we work out together. I just want you to be my friend. I want a long-lasting relationship with you, whether it's friendship or whatever, because I just really enjoy being around you. And she was like, I yearn for them to know me that way too. And as much as I think I know Miranda deeply, which is the star of iCarly, who she did iCarly with, and the show was actually coming to an end, and she was like, I don't like that I know her through the context of iCarly, because iCarly is ended and I don't want our friendship to end. And thankfully it didn't end. Eventually they did become closer in friendships, had their weekly sleepovers and meeting up and hanging out 3 to 4 times a week and just doing things. And then eventually Miranda found out about Jennette's eating disorder and all of that. So then she was able to help her get through all of that as well, like you would want a friend to do. But ultimately they ended up phasing out, and sometimes that happens. You know, people are in your life for a season, and their friendship ended up phasing out, but they remained friends. And so that part of the book really touched me, because y'all, it's so easy to have friends at work and then not talk to them after that. And them friends could have very well been your road dogs today. So it's like, dang, I never thought about it like that. The relationship she had with y'all, I didn't talk about it a lot, but it was trash because first of all, you was too old to be with her. You was just too old to be with her. You made her feel some type of way because you was just too old to be with her. Yeah, you had to break up with whoever you was with, but I'm pretty sure the reason why you broke up with who you was with to be with Jennette was because Jennette had money. Like, there's no other reason why you needed to be with Jennette, and I'm pretty sure it was off the strength of she had money because you was trash, you didn't want to work, you didn't want to do nothing, she was paying off your dad, and you was still using her. So that relationship was trash. She should never been with him in the first place because of the age difference. But the relationship that I really did like, and we all know because we read the book, it just did not it did not end well, but I did like the relationship with her and Steven, because Steven, he seemed like a good guy. And she was like, I didn't like that he smoked cigarettes. Okay, whatever. You know, everybody do something that we ain't gonna like. And the thing about being in a relationship with people is being able to overcome some of the things that people do. Some stuff is really not a red flag. Some stuff is just what they do. And you got stuff that you do that people don't like either. So, you know, but he started off like as a good guy, and then when he came to LA, because he had work to do in LA and he lived with her and he seen the throw up around the seat, I was happy that he seen it. I was happy that somebody outside of her mom was able to witness that and know that something was wrong. And he was like, you got something to tell me? Because what's really going on? And you know, she told him, but she told him like in a passive way. And he like, well, you need to get it under control if you want to continue to be in a relationship with me. And I respected him for that. Yep. I respected him for that. He was like, you need to get this under control. And he was like, you need to seek therapy. And, you know, therapy is cool. You know, a lot of people don't believe in therapy. Therapy can work for people. And, you know, a lot of people believe in it, and it works. I believe it works because it's just a non-biased opinion, and you're working through your problems and your issues, and therapists, they work. I feel like they work. However, you need to know if a therapist is really what you need, and then if that's the case, you need to make sure you know exactly why you need one before you go and seek a therapist. So though she did go and have Laura as her therapist, Laura really couldn't help her with what Jennette needed help with. She needed help for her eating disorder. Yeah, she had other stuff going on that she probably needed therapy for too, but her main thing that she needed help for was that eating disorder, and Laura could not help her with that. And Jennette knew that. That's why she was like, yeah, let me go in this relationship now. So after the many sessions they had, she ended that. She was scared to tell Steven, but Steven had some up his sleeve. He had something else up his sleeve. He was like, that's cool. So she was like, yeah, I canceled my therapy sessions and I'm no longer going to go. And he was like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And I wrote down what he said. He said, you don't need therapy. Not if you have Jesus. That boy said, we finna go to church. He was like, that's fine, because we finna try out church anyway. And if you got Jesus in your life, you don't need a therapist. That's what he said. So they went and, you know, visited all the churches, just trying to find a church home like a typical person would or whatever. And that boy, he went left with it, because Steven, he really had his own issues too. That boy said he was like, I got something to tell you. And she was like, yeah, I got something to tell you too, because that was around the time when she found out who her dad was. He was like, mine is exciting. And she was like, mine is too. And she was like, you go first. And he was like, I'm Jesus Christ. What? Huh? That's what she said. Huh? What? Boy, he was like, I really believe it, because y'all know he was trying to stop having sex. He, you know, he wanted to go to church, and he was like, yeah, we finna be in church regularly. We ain't finna be doing no sexual activity like this, that's, and the third. That boy said he was Jesus, and he said he was Jesus, and He didn't want to tell nobody because wasn't nobody gonna believe him, and he only told her. And come to find out, he was mentally ill. He was mentally ill, and he had some issues himself. But I still felt like without him, she wouldn't have sought the help that she needed for her. So like I said, people are in your life for a reason and a season. And I feel like he came into her life at the perfect time, because she wouldn't have got the help from Jeff, like with her eating disorder and stuff like that. And it took her a while to, you know, do better as far as eating and all of that. But she would never got the help without Steven. Like, she just wouldn't have. And I was just happy about that. One thing that really pissed me off, and I'm trying to think if Jennette's mom was the way she was because how her grandma was. Because remember after Jennette's mom passed away, and then grandma started spazzing out like, oh my God, you don't call me no more, you don't check on me anymore, and blah, 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 blah. Like, I wonder if something was wrong with her, because girl, we didn't really even have a relationship, and she was describing how the way that her grandma would rub her back and stuff, it just didn't feel appropriate. And I'm just like, what was wrong with grandma? And why are you spazzing out on her like that? I think grandma really wanted her fame and fortune as well, just like her daughter did, because the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So those are all the little random thoughts I had while I was reading the book. It was very good. Her story was so touching. It's literally your typical Hollywood mom story, and it's very sad that children really go through this. And I think what's even more sad is that we love the superstars. When we see them out in the street, we want their autograph, we want to take pictures with them, we want to get that selfie, we want to post it on the gram. You know, we love the fact that we get to see these superstars, but we forget that they're human. And we also forget that they go through stuff too, because Jennette was literally going through it, so much so she don't even acknowledge people that refer to her as Sam from iCarly. Like, if you don't refer to me as Jennette, you ain't getting no autograph, no picture, no nothing from me, because that ain't the girl I am. That ain't the girl I ever wanted to be. My mama wanted me to be that girl. I hated being that girl. I hate Nickelodeon. Like, she was going in. She hated acting, like, and you just never know what people are going through. And because people are celebrities, we tend to forget that they are human, like, for real. Like, they literally going through stuff, mental illness, food disorder, you know, just all kind of stuff. And so I think it's important that we think about that stuff when we are approaching celebrities, and we need to approach celebrities like we would some other random person on the street, which typically you wouldn't approach some random other person on the street. And I get it, they're celebrities, so that comes with their territory, but I think our approach can be a little bit more sensitive, because we just don't know what people are going through. And her story really just touched me. I was just like, wow. And you hear a lot of this type of stuff with like dance moms and all of this, forcing their kids to live their dream, the dreams they wanted to, whatever. But one thing about me is I pride myself on not forcing my daughter, because my son, he's a toddler, but I don't force my daughter to do anything. For example, she was in ballet, and she started out really wanting to be in ballet, and then after the first year of ballet, she just wasn't feeling it anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, we didn't already pay for it, so let's finish out the recital, and then after that, you don't have to do it anymore. Well, then COVID happened. Lucky for her, COVID happened. They couldn't no longer do the practices anymore. They ended up doing a recital virtually. So that was the perfect time for us to just go ahead and pull her out. She wasn't comfortable doing it, and she didn't want to do it anymore. And I think as parents, we take the fact that we're older and we're grown and we make the choices so much so that we forget that our children are human and that they have feelings and they feel certain ways about certain things, and some stuff they just don't want to do, and we have to be okay with that. So my final thoughts on this book review is that I'm really happy she overcame her sickness. Like, it took her a while, but she worked hard. You know, she worked really, really hard, and she did overcome that sickness, because bulimic ain't nothing to play with. Like, if you read the book, you see she was throwing up after every meal. Who got time for that? You know, it's really nothing to play with, and you have to stay at a healthy weight. You just have to stay at a healthy weight. So her overcoming that, I was so happy about that. I'm happy she found the help she needed. Therapy isn't for everyone. She didn't need a therapist. She needed a food disorder coach. She didn't need a therapist. So I really love how ultimately she was just able to figure it out, and I'm glad she was able to, because there's people who just don't know, can't figure it out, don't have the help, don't have the resources. So I'm just happy about that. I'm definitely happy that she no longer has to ask. She doesn't have to ask no more, you know. So this was a very good read. I was so happy to be able to tap into this book and really tap into a famous Nickelodeon star and what she was truly really going through. It kind of reminds me of what Raven-Symoné went through, and I don't think Raven-Symoné has a book. However, she did a lot of like shows and stuff like that, and I heard Jennette also did a Red Table Talk, and I am definitely gonna look into that, because once I start reading people's memoirs, I really dig deep and go into a rabbit hole, and that's something that I definitely wanted to do. Go and look for the Red Table Talk just to get more insight on the situation and stuff like that. So yeah, if you've reached the end of this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for coming and watching my second book review. There are very much more coming. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.